Do you have a hard out? Is that
I have a hard out at 5:30, so we got to go because Sarah is doing a podcast right after me.
Get out of here. What kind of podcast is she doing?
She's going to be on Mike Ladano's show later tonight.
The music.
The Brain Train. And they're going to be talking about music that you've never heard of before.
Probably.
Well, you for sure. You definitely for sure. But no time for plugs. We gotta keep going. Even hair plugs. We gotta keep going. All right. Welcome everyone to Retro Filmdango episode number 35. I'm Kevin, also known as Buried on Mars, and I'm here with my buddy Richard, also known as Late Fox. And
wow, look at all the comments.
Yes. I was here on time.
People are so excited.
I was here on time. You got that timestamp there.
I
was here.
Was physically in the vicinity.
But
well, my computer was doing a massive update. It took quite a while for it to turn on. And that's true.
Why didn't you go on to your phone, open up the Twitter app, and say, Kevin, I'm going to be a bit late because my computer's doing some massive updates.
Well, I was sleeping then. But then when I got to the computer, it was doing an update. It took quite a while.
Okay, enough of that. We are talking about 3 movies. This is our classic Hanky Panky episode. We're talking about 3 movies from Tom Hanks in the 80s. The first one is Splash from 1984. Let's get right to the trailer.
How accurate that title is. Hanky Panky.
Go.
Alan Bauer has a very successful business.
Okay, Bauer, you're ruined. You're finished. You're a ghost in this business.
How'd you like some bananas at cost?
Deal.
He's got the wisdom and support of his brother Freddie.
I love this guy. Do you hear me? I love him. Give me a kiss. What's the matter? You too big? Come here.
I just want to meet a woman. I want to meet a woman, and I want to fall in love. It's not much.
And worst of all, Alan Bauer feels with all his heart that he doesn't have one.
Freddie, something in here is not working. There are worse organs not to be working. Where to? Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
And then, one day, accidentally, from out of the blue, it happens.
This is a very unique announcer. I don't think I've ever heard this voice before.
Yeah, he's
just looking.
He's the romantic comedy guy.
Just touching her as a life.
Like, I don't think I've ever heard a trailer like this before. This must have existed at a very specific point in time.
I think he's the VHS guy.
Just one problem stands in his way.
Turn him down a little so people can hear us.
A little secret she's trying to keep all to herself.
There is a mermaid in New York City.
Very revealing trailer, too. You got the whole story going on right now.
In the water.
What about a woman showing up naked in a public place, Freddie? Well, I'm bored, of course. Can I come in?
No!
All right, let me in.
I'll stop you right there. I'm just changing.
That girl is a mermaid.
All my life, I've been waiting for someone, and when I find her...
Now, that was a horrible dive there.
She's a
That
fish.
looked like it hurt.
Nobody said love.
Just going in full plank.
Like, yeah.
When I
Like,
find
look.
her, she's-
Ow. You think a mermaid would know
Yeah.
how to dive better than that.
Nobody said
Well, she's without her tail. Gotta throw it off.
she's really hungry.
Daryl Hannah, Tom Hanks, and John Candy.
Nice shot.
Splash, a fantastic tale about a fantastic tale.
You know, you go into all the modern day. Sorry, I didn't want to step on his line. You go into all the modern day CGI and you wonder, like, how did they, like, did he really just have to practice that to nail himself in the head?
That was done in one shot, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in the fun facts, but I was reading about how he shot that scene. So they were shooting it in Massachusetts, and he ran into Jack Nicholson, who, actually that scene might have been shot in LA, but anyways, who cares? He ran into Jack Nicholson the night before, who kept them out really late. Like, he wouldn't let John Candy leave. So he ended up like staying up really late drinking with him, and he ended up being late to the set the next day. And he showed up, and he was all apologizing to Ron Howard, and Ron Howard's like, just whatever, let's just shoot this scene. So John Candy was like super, like wanted to get things right on the first take, and he did that squash scene right in the head, first take, in the can. That's what made the movie.
There you go. So it's okay for John Candy to show up a little bit past his time.
Yeah, well, he's John friggin' Candy. I mean,
Right.
if you bring the goods like John Candy, I didn't complain or anything. I want to get going. I want to get. Phil says that was the worst trailer ever. Tune into last Filmdango. We had some worse trailers than that.
The thing about the trailer, I mean, we got to remind ourselves YouTube didn't exist back then.
That's
so
right.
You see this, and then you can't just rewatch it. You know, you're not gonna. You see this, and then you go. You know, you're watching whatever movie you went to see in the theater, so the details get fuzzy. And you just, hey, remember that mermaid movie? Why don't we check that out someday?
Well, that it was the official trailer, according to the YouTubes. I think that was the VHS one, because you know how on VHS they would have a different trailer than what was in the theater.
A bit, yeah. Well, but usually that's for home video, right?
Yeah. Okay. The rundown. A young man is reunited with a mermaid who saved him from drowning as a boy. He falls in love with her, not knowing who or what she is. The film stars Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah, a lady with a man's name, but now it could be anyone's name because we've progressed. Eugene Levy and John Candy. Director is Ron Howard. Writing credits. It's based on a story by Brian Grazer. And then a bunch of dudes worked on the script. It seems like it was a script that kind of...
Oh, a bunch of dudes, huh?
A bunch of dudes.
Dudes.
I didn't see any ladies there. Although, with a name like Daryl, could have been a lady. I prejudged them, just assumed there were guys' names.
Daryl.
We have no time for this. We got to keep going. Runtime, 1 hour and 51 minutes. Budget was $8 million. Box office made $70 million worldwide. Fun facts. Give us our first fun fact, please, Richard.
Sounds like this was a successful film.
Yes.
Splash is credited with introducing the girl's name Madison, which has since become one of the most popular names for newborn girls in the early 21st century. That sounds like such a rich, snotty girl name.
Well, it was funny because
Madison.
in the movie they comment on how that's an unusual name, and Sarah says that a bunch of students that she works with, she works with a bunch of Madisons. So
I want to say that's the name of like some Disney Channel character or something. It sounds like that kind of a name.
Well, it's a name from a Disney type of movie. This movie is kind of Disney-ish in a way, except for the Penthouse Forum letters and stuff like that. But
yeah.
Okay, anyways, when Madison takes a bath to transform back into a mermaid, the effect of the skin turning into scales was done by using a vacuum effect on an appliance that was placed over Daryl Hannah's leg. Hannah was required to place her left hand over the edge of the appliance to hide the edge of the effect.
That's what you do. The shot of Madison leaping out of the water as a mermaid after she encounters Alan on the beach was performed with a springboard within the water. The springboard was charged and propelled a stunt woman wearing the mermaid tail upward through the water and into the air.
It's funny because when I saw that, I just assumed it was like a put in post kind of thing.
I might be misremembering. I remember seeing like a top going under and then just a fishtail pop up.
Yeah.
I don't remember like a big dive.
Well, it was like it was after, right? Like when Tom Hanks is in the foreground and then in the background.
Right, yeah.
He jumps and then he turns around. What was that? What was that splash? And then he missed it. Well, the quality of the file that I had downloaded wasn't the greatest, so it was a little grainy, these effects. Yeah. Daryl Hannah's fin weighed 35 pounds. It took technicians 3 hours each day to put it on her, and she had to remain still while it was being attached.
Daryl Hannah refused to eat real lobster for the restaurant scene as she is a vegetarian. The crew scooped out the insides of real cooked lobsters and filled them with hearts of palm and mashed potatoes. What is hearts of palm?
I think it's palm leaves or something.
You can eat palm leaves?
Yeah, I think so.
Out of here.
I don't know.
California.
I guess, but it doesn't make any sense because she was crunching into that thing. So wasn't she still kind of?
Well, yeah, she was chewing on the shell. She had
Yeah.
the dead animal in her mouth.
Yeah.
At least part of the carcass.
Yeah.
It's like chewing on a dog bone, really.
The mold, I love when effects are reused from other movies. The mold used to make the mermaid fountain had also been used to make the ice sculpture in Herbie Goes Bananas from 1980.
Have you seen Herbie Goes Bananas?
Not in a long time, but it's on Disney Plus, and it's on my list to watch.
Just so you can see the fountain.
Yes. No, just so I can watch Herbie Goes Bananas.
Oh, okay.
Herbie movies are great.
Today is Eugene Levy's birthday.
There you go. Happy birthday, Eugene Levy.
Happy birthday. I was not expecting to see Eugene Levy or John Candy in this film.
I remember John Candy was in it. I totally forgot Eugene Levy was in it. I think I've only watched this movie once in the 80s. My parents rented it, and all I remembered before this was Daryl Hannah's bum.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, John Candy taking the shot to the head. That's like anytime they do any story about John Candy, they play that clip. That might have been it. Might have been all I remembered.
but you had good memories of this film.
Yeah, that's it. So now it's fresh in your mind. You just recently watched Splash.
Yes.
What did you think of it?
First time watching. I'd never seen this before, and I was fairly confident it was about a mermaid. Like that's the only thing I knew about the film. It probably starred a mermaid, and I was right. It was good. It was fine. I had never seen it before. It's not the greatest Tom Hanks movie, but it was a good watch. I could certainly sit down and watch it again. Lots of good characters, lots of good moments, lots of just fun, relaxing times. It was a enjoyable watch. I wrote a lot of memos here. Richard Simmons appears.
Richard. Oh,
Simmons.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he's in the.
Richard Simmons. The Evil Dead was playing at a theater.
Yeah, I caught that.
Across the street.
Thought that was cool.
Crazy Eddie. I don't know if you got his commercials up in Canada. But,
no, never seen him before.
Growing up, Crazy Eddie commercials were on all the time because his prices were insane.
So that was a real guy. That wasn't made up.
It was like a local. He had a couple of businesses in like the New York, New Jersey area, and you'd see his commercials on all the time. It's that wig commercial in Goodfellas, that kind of like small time business, and they do these crazy commercials. That's that. I liked the moon as the marker of time. She said like when the moon is full, she becomes a mermaid again. So you'd get just the establishing shot of the moon, which
and it was a blue moon.
Yeah, which would normally be just your kind of transition shot of just showing time passing. But in this case, it was also like the double meaning of it's inching in on her, magic spell ending thing. I like the secretary, the old lady who was struck by lightning, and just there's no reason for it. She was just odd, just to be odd.
Comic relief.
John Candy, very funny. Eugene Levy, a little over the top, but still funny. I think his character could have been toned down just a touch. The movie was very simple in that it doesn't explain anything about mermaids. It doesn't explain anything about the magic of how she becomes human or why she's only got 7 days or whatever it was, and how they can break into the Museum of Natural History because that's where they're holding her to conduct the experiments and all that. It's very simple, but here's the thing: if the movie is not irritating, then you can go with it. If your characters aren't morons and irritating the entire time, simple is fine.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I mean, that's like, I don't understand why people need so much back information and all that stuff. Sometimes it's important, like to give you a little more nuance with the character or invest you with the character a little more, but you didn't need that with this movie.
Right.
Daryl
Or
Hannah
if,
and Tom Hanks are in love and they want to be together and they got problems trying
yeah,
to
if it's a different kind of movie where those details matter. Oh,
Right.
how is
Yeah.
Tom Hanks able to breathe underwater now?
Yeah,
Like,
she
you
had
want to
some sort of
explain
power.
that? She gave him a kiss and he was with her. That's it.
Or
There you go.
like, how come is she alone down there? Does she like, how come when she looks for New York, she pulls out this map from the colonial times to try to
Right.
locate them?
Yeah. It's a silly movie with silly rules, but they play by their silly rules, and that's it. How did she get that fountain into his house and
The
all
movers
hooked up
moved it
and
there.
operating?
There was movers.
Yeah, it's
I imagine they
quite
did.
a large, heavy thing, and it didn't look like it was going to fit through that door.
I'm guessing that was the tail end of the crew. They did the cleanup, the wrap up at the end. But don't in New York they lift stuff up with cranes and put them through a big window to get big stuff in, like piano.
You're gonna have to ask Madison.
She had magic too, right? She had some sort of
mermaid magic,
right?
There you go.
If she can grow legs when she's dry, then I mean,
that's all it takes. Yeah, just dry off that tail and then you get legs.
But only for a short time, and then she has to go back, and then she can't come back. There was a lot of weird rules. A lot of weird
There's all that, you got to make a decision right now. And I mean, it's all just Tom Hanks and making that choice in his life.
I think for me, the most, besides the fact that there's a mermaid walking around in this movie, the most unrealistic thing was them getting out of that facility at the end, where they have her
carrying the body.
Yeah, like, I mean, that didn't look a thing like John Candy underneath blankets. And how did they get past all those guards and all that and finally get her into a car? And I don't know. That seemed a little too far-fetched. But I guess the thinking is once you get to that point in the movie, I mean, if you bought the fact that this is a mermaid and all that, I guess you're just going to go with it at this point. But overall, I thought it was an okay movie. I thought it was fine. I wouldn't like go out of my way to watch it again, but if it was on TV, I'd probably watch a little more of it. I think John Candy and Eugene Levy were probably the best parts of the movie. Then Tom Hanks, this was a script that had been lying around for a very long time. And there was so many, like I was just reading like how many actors were considered for this movie. Like they were trying to get anybody to be into this until they finally landed on Tom Hanks, and they just said, okay, well, finally we'll do it with Tom Hanks. Like there was Bill Murray and Jack Nicholson was one of them. There was just tons of actors that was that was tied into this movie at some point. But yeah, I don't know. Like for early Ron Howard films, I think the one he did with Henry Winkler and Beetlejuice there. Night Shift. Michael Keaton. Yeah, Night Shift. I think that was a better movie than this one. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad.
No, it's perfectly fine to sit down and watch. But like you said, I don't know if I would say, hey, I'm going to watch Splash tonight. And,
yeah, like I don't think I would
plan my evening around it.
I wouldn't want to add it to the Blu-ray collection or.
Oh, if you saw it for $1, you'd pick it up.
The $2, yeah. Well, it'd be $4 at the Mission Thrift. So if I did see it for $4, I definitely would pick it up because I think there is some audio commentary too with Eugene Levy, so that would be worth it for that. But
you make exceptions for $1. You know what? I just went out and for $1, I got a copy of The Iron Giant, which is absolutely worth it. And a copy of Edward Scissorhands, which is for $1.
Actually, if I found the DVD for $1, I probably would.
There you go.
Bill has a question for you. He wants to know if you watched the crap copy.
I absolutely did.
Yeah, me
Kevin
too.
was kind enough to provide it for me. So
well, I'm sorry. It seems like
there's no sorry. I had a copy of the film delivered to me in the comfort of my own home.
It seems like the Pirate Bay is slipping. Like the kids don't download movies as much as they do. They all stream them. So
those kids.
Yeah.
What's
Okay,
with the kids today?
that was 20 minutes. Now we got to move on to the Burbs. So, okay, movie. It was good. It was okay. I don't even consider it really a Tom Hanks movie. It felt more like a Eugene Levy / John Candy supporting movie, if that makes sense.
It just had no main thrust to it.
Like Tom Hanks ad libs and scenes and stuff like that, and kind of puts his own. And granted, like, this is early Tom Hanks too, right? There wasn't too many movies he did before this one, so I don't know if it was maybe a confidence thing or whatever, or just stick to whatever was written. But there wasn't too much in it. Like, he's got his own charm in that, but there wasn't anything that I felt like he added to the picture to make it like a Tom Hanks movie. He didn't feel like he put his mark on it.
I don't know. He like you said, he has charm.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the Burbs.
The Burbs.
Hey, how do I add this in here? It says remove. I don't want to remove it. I want to add you.
Burbs. The Burbs.
Wait,
Tom
can I do it like this? Yeah, that's what I do.
Got it?
Okay, here we go.
Wanted was a quiet vacation at home.
Now that's
This is
the
what I
trailer
need,
guy.
Carol, I need this.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mayfield Place.
That was funny.
Typical street
I
in
love that
Burbs,
shot.
Morning, Walter.
where nothing much ever happened
Walter's dog
Ooh.
just took a dump on Rumsfield's lawn again.
until the Klopeks moved in.
Klopex?
Klopex. Klopek. No one goes in, no one comes out.
Neighbors from hell.
It was a nice place to live.
He said he thinks the Klopex are evil incarnate.
Well, you're much too smart to fall for that, aren't you, honey?
But now,
A lot of deleted scenes in this.
you would
Yes.
not visit there.
Ray, this is Walter.
The Burbs.
I'm going over the fence, and I'm not coming back till I find a dead body.
Ray, do you want him to take your family, kidnap them, tear their livers out, and make some kind of satanic pate? We found Walter!
We got a real problem.
I hit the gas line, I'd run!
God, I love this street.
Tom Hanks.
I totally forgot Corey Feldman was in this.
I got some comments
It's
about
one
that.
hell of a neighborhood.
Hey, honey, I think we should move.
That's a much better trailer.
That's a trailer. And yeah, I was surprised. It was like a little barbecue scene, bits of dialogue, a lot of things that didn't make it into the final.
I watched the Blu-ray, my Blu-ray copy, which I believe is the extended edition. So I did see that when it got.
Extended edition.
And that's the same case for the next movie as well.
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah. All right, you want to give us the rundown for the Burbs?
Oh gosh. Oh, I can do this. Let's see. I can do this. An overstressed suburbanite and his neighbors are convinced that the new family on the block are part of a murderous satanic cult. Film stars Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, and Rick Ducommun. I want to put him up there too.
Sure.
Director Joe Dante, writing credits Dana Olson, runtime an hour and 42 minutes, made for approximately $18 million and made $50 million worldwide.
Yeah. So that would be considered a little bit of a bomb.
It
It made its money, but yeah, didn't make a big enough profit. Okay,
The
Burbs.
splash.
The Burbs was shot in sequence and was filmed during the writer's strike of 1988. For this reason, Joe Dante encouraged the actors to improvise many scenes, which explains a lot. One example was the moment when Rumsfeld rips the Colplex wallpaper, an idea from Bruce Dern. Rick Ducommun ad-libbed many of his lines, including "Satan is good, Satan is our pal." I got a laugh out of both Sarah and I. And Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher came up with the idea of playing along with Jeopardy at home.
At the time the movie was being filmed, Corey Feldman and Michael Jackson were close friends. While Jackson didn't visit the set, his famed chimpanzee Bubbles was a frequent guest. Because monkey just gets out.
Yeah, sure.
And had to be confined to Feldman's trailer during filming. Feldman would return to his trailer and find the chimp had spread feces around the interior. So monkeys do.
We got some more feces fun facts for you. Prop master Mark Jameson, by the way, that is an ultimate title. Like when you work on a film, don't you want to be the prop? Forget the director, forget the executive producer. You want to be the prop master. Prop master Mark Jameson was charged with making fake dog poo because the actors complained that they didn't want to step in the real thing. The mixture included canned dog food and bean dip. It was loaded into caulking tubes and squeezed out where needed.
I don't care what it's made of. You put it in a caulking tube, it's fun to apply.
It's true. And so the next fun fact, again, we're reusing a prop.
Walter's toy poodle Queenie was played by the same dog that played Precious in The Silence of the Lambs.
There you go. Reusing props.
That dog got around.
Okay.
The Boybs, your first time watching The Burbs.
Yes, this was
And you
my
watched
first
the
time.
Full extended cut.
I did, and I thought so. I liked this movie. I thought it had some funny parts in it. I think it's a movie that I'm probably going to appreciate more on later watches. Watching it the first time, this movie felt very disjointed, and I just found it a little uncomfortable, like how stuff didn't seem to gel as well as it should have. Like you got Tom Hanks, you got Bruce Dern in this movie, who I love, who's dropping, like every time Bruce Dern's in a movie, he drops these lines that are gold. It's a Joe Dante movie. I love the premise. I thought the whole thing was good, but it just didn't gel as well as it should have. For instance, you mentioned Corey Feldman's character. Like Corey Feldman's character seemed to be one that was designed to interpret what is happening to the audience. Corey Feldman is like the kid on the street, and he watches everybody, he observes everybody, and he invites people over to his house. The first time it's his girlfriend, the second time it's his friends. And every time he invites people over, he's kind of explaining what is going on, on the street. Like, oh, Tom Hanks's character is going to do this, and this guy's going to do that, and they're going to go over to the house and watch this and check this out, to let the audience know what's going on. But it felt like as if like his scenes were always coming like too late in the picture. Like,
well, he's explaining things that we've already seen.
Yes.
Like the audience is up to speed,
right?
So we don't need explanation from him.
But
to be fair, that really only happens one time when it's with the girl, and he's kind of explaining, oh, okay, he's the skeptic and he's like the crazy guy, and he explains there. Other times he is more just watching, and they give him lines about the pizza dude and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like when he had his friends over later, he was kind of stumbling into that territory again. Like it felt like as if like the movie was cutting to him and his friends, when really I just keep going with what's happening on the street. I don't need commentary from him,
right,
to ensure what I'm seeing is good. You know what I mean? Like just let me go with the movie. I don't need his confirmation. So they could have really just dropped his character altogether, and I would have been happy with that.
So you're saying that's like the effect of having one of the studio representatives tapping you on the shoulder while you're watching the movie and saying, this part's going to be funny. This is funny.
Maybe. I don't know. It seems to me like it was like, just from reading the like, once it was made clear that this movie was written during the writer's strike, and there was they couldn't really add or take away anything while they're making the movie. They had to stick to what was happening. Like generally when you're making a movie, if something's not working, you can kind of get rid of it or change its direction or something like that. But they couldn't do any sort of rewrites with the movie. If they wanted to change something, one of the actors would have to ad-lib something. Like there was a lot of ad-libbing in the movie. Like for instance, when Tom Hanks was put into a stretcher towards the end of the movie, he's the one who like decided, I'm going to pick up the stretcher, put it into the ambulance, and then jump into the ambulance, kind of thing. And then Bruce Dern peeling the wallpaper off of the wall, like that. All that stuff was not in the script, but if they wanted to add stuff like that, it had to be ad lib. They couldn't do rewrites on the fly.
I gotcha.
There was a few things though that didn't make sense to me, like the family moved. So originally this family has moved out of the house, and this creepy family moves into the house. And I like, why is the house all of a sudden like run down? Was it run down from the previous family?
Is it like
Adam's Family thing or something. Like there's no leaves on the tree, even though it's in the middle of summer, so the tree's dead. The grass is all brown. There's insects living inside of the house. Like, was this the previous family that did it? And the previous family seemed really beloved by everybody on the street. And so,
not beloved. They mention how they had very minimal conversations with them, and they didn't say goodbye when they left.
Right, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. We'll get into it.
Well, I mean, we just had the whole discussion about how simple Splash is, but you buy into it. It's the same thing here. You just needed that setup of creepy family gets in, nobody knows anything about them. So that
okay, but my problem is that it tied in towards the end of the movie, and that's my problem. My real problem with this movie is the ending of how this family. So a family moves in, right? There's a moving van and all that stuff, and they go into the house, and you see the old family leave and all that. Nobody on the street sees that. They just see all of a sudden like there's these new people living into this house. Now everyone on the street is already suspicious of what is happening with this family. Nobody thinks that everyone just assumes that the old family has moved out. Nobody asks like, well, maybe these guys like are not supposed to be there. Maybe they're, maybe they killed the old family. Maybe they nobody comes to that conclusion. It just seemed very weird that they all just took on faith that the old family moved out and now this family has moved in.
Oh, why would you suspect anything so crazy when, it's just a moving?
Oh, I would. If like my neighbors across the street are all of a sudden gone and there's this new family in there and I didn't see a moving truck or anything like that, I would ask questions.
There you go. Sarah's got a good point. It's like the family that moved in was cursed and brought the curse into the house. I'll buy that.
Sure, but then wouldn't that add to your questions of what's going on? Like, why is the grass brown all of a sudden? Why is the tree dead?
It's just a silly movie, Kevin.
Well,
it's just a silly movie.
I don't know. I have questions. I
don't
have
think
questions.
too hard.
I'm not. Like I said, like if it was okay, we're just going with it, and if they tied the movie together better at the end instead of, that. Well, it turns out that this new family killed the old family, and yes, they are the bad guys. Like that just seemed like really bad writing. It just didn't seem like a very good.
It's one of those movies that's more about the little moments rather than the overall.
Yes, for sure,
thing.
For sure.
It's about Bruce Dern falling through the porch with both feet and dropping the brownies.
Like I said, like there's a lot of. I think it's a movie that's going to grow on me over time because there was a lot of funny things and I laughed out loud a lot of times. I think this is going to be the. That Leslie Nielsen thing where he says like the movie itself isn't very good, but you remember all those good parts and you just keep watching all those good parts. Mm-hmm. This movie, why, Sarah, go cook my dinner. Stop commenting.
Sarah's on a roll now. She's got Under Siege. She's got the Burbs.
She's on me. I know she enjoyed the movie a lot more than I did. She was laughing out loud a lot more than I was. I did think it was good. I just didn't. I don't think it's a very good movie. I think it's a movie that has some good moments in it. And I could see why it didn't do too well. Why it turned a lot of people off. And why it became a cult classic afterwards, because you watch this thing on TV or whatever and you just see those funny moments, and
that's all I want it for, the funny moments.
So I take it you like the movie a lot more than I did.
I do, but I think there's some truth to what you said. I've seen this a number of times over the years. I kind of grew up watching, so it has that cumulative effect of, I'm waiting for the bees to come out. I'm waiting for Bruce Dern to slip with the hose and fall back, and all those little moments. A couple things I picked up this time that I didn't quite remember was the pile of trash that remains in the street.
Yeah, that was good.
For the whole movie. Bruce Dern eating animal crackers on the roof.
Yeah.
The explosion at the end where Hanks is slowly walking out of the house with his hands in his pockets, and then the thing collapses right behind him. So they did that all in one shot where he walks out from under it, and then that whole thing goes. Gosh. The art-shaped hole in the roof after Rick Ducommun. Very underused actor. I was looking at his credits, and he has a lot of like little things.
Yeah.
He was in Die Hard, for example.
And so in this movie, he goes up a pole to cut a power line, and he does the exact same thing in Die Hard. He's the guy that goes up the pole.
He's the guy that cuts the power. That's right. Mm-hmm.
That's his thing.
But in Die Hard, that was 2 years later, 88. So he developed his skill.
That's
he learned from his mistake.
Sure. I'll buy that.
Little cameo from Mr. Rogers, which man, that was shocking. Hey, there's Tom Hanks and Mr. Rogers.
Sorry. Just queuing up the next trailer.
Playing around there.
I'm playing
And of course, Dick Miller and Bobby Picardo.
Of course, yes.
Joe Dante film.
Yeah.
And I like the zoom in at the intro where they go for the universal globe and then all the way down.
Yeah, they recreated that, just like they reanimated the whole logo just for that shot.
Yeah, that's neat. And this to me is probably what life in the suburbs is like. I've never lived in the suburbs.
No,
I think this is what you guys do all the time. You just sit out there with your neighbors and then you get each other's business.
No.
Show off your tools.
No, I don't bother with anyone. I leave everyone alone. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I like the Burbs.
I do like it as well. Again, if they just tied it better at the end, like I would be able to forgive all that stuff. And I get it. It's not in reality, but it's characters not doing things that make sense. Like it would make sense to me if these guys were suspicious enough to want to find out what's going on in this house. They would think, well, where is the old family? Maybe we should track down the old family.
But they didn't know the old family that well.
Yeah, but I don't know. It seemed a little too far-fetched for me.
Where I lived in Jersey City, I lived next to the same people for years and never talked to them, never knew anything about them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So if they moved away and somebody else came in, I wouldn't think too much of that.
But you never saw anyone move. Like you didn't see them actually move.
No.
There's this new family there now.
The one thing that this movie sets up is that suburbanites spend a whole lot of time looking out their window or standing in their front yard and observing other things.
Right.
Where I grew up, you stayed in your house and you locked the door.
Yes.
And you only went out when you had to.
Right.
So I didn't know who was doing what, wherever. I know that there was a drug dealer across the street. That's what I'd observe out my window.
What were they digging up in the backyard?
Maybe they did have the bodies of the family there, and then they moved them to the
Weren't
furnace.
they? But they were all in the back of his car, right? That's where they kept them, in the trunk of the car. That's where they found them at the end.
Well, that wasn't. There were many skeletons in the trunk. That had to be more than just the neighbors.
Oh, that was more than just the family.
Because he said you probably saw the skull in the furnace, so there's some in there. They got a bunch in the trunk, which makes sense. Move it away so the nosy neighbors don't find it. So they might have been digging all that up to clear away the evidence, just like they got rid of their trash bag.
And what was their why were they killing people? What was their motivation?
Because they're crazy. They're crazy. They're foreigners, Kevin. You know what they do. A little xenophobia. Got to bring that back.
I got to say one thing I do. Another thing I like about this movie is that the whole thing, except for that opening and the end, where you see the entire planet, our planet, Earth, the whole movie takes place on the street, just in that street.
Corey Feldman Street. He loves that street. Cul-de-sac too. Only one way out.
Okay. On to bigger and better things. See what I did there? bigger
That was
and
clever.
better things. Thank you very much. Here we go with our third movie from 1988. Big. Oh, I can't hit play on there. I got to hit it there.
For Josh Baskin, life was a little unfair.
Great casting on this kid. He looks like a mini Hanks.
Until he made a little wish.
I wish I were big.
Sweetheart, 7:30. Are you up? Josh!
20th Century Fox presents Tom Hanks. Big.
I turned into a grown-up, Mom. I made this wish on a machine, and it turned me into a grown-up.
Now what?
You get a job.
Cannot get a job. I play with all of this stuff, and then I tell them what I think.
Do they pay you for that? Suckers!
Vice President, he's only been here a week.
See that girl over there in the red? She'll wrap her legs around you so tight you'll be begging for mercy.
Well, I'll stay away from her then.
I loved your ideas on the squeezy doll line.
Thanks.
That was a real reaction shot.
Oh, well, that wasn't much different.
Eject your seat!
Who are you? I'm his girlfriend. I want to spend the night with you.
Do you mean sleep over?
Yeah.
Okay. But I get to be on top.
What is so special about Baskin?
He's a grown-up.
How do I feel about what?
How do you feel about me?
You're only young once.
This is important!
I'm your best friend. What's more important than that, huh?
But for Josh,
I miss my family, Susan, and I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
it just might last a lifetime. You'll never forget Tom Hanks.
Beluga.
In Big.
Wow, they didn't use the keyboard scene in the trailer.
Yeah, no Robert Loggia in there at all.
You hear it.
Yes. But you don't see him.
Huh.
Interesting. Okay, Big, the rundown. After wishing to be made big, a teenage boy wakes the next morning to find himself mysteriously in the body of an adult. Film stars Tom Hanks, Elizabeth Perkins, and Robert Loggia. Director is Penny Marshall. Writing credits is Gary Ross and Ann Spielberg. Runtime is 1 hour and 44 minutes. Budget was $18 million. And this movie made worldwide $151.6 million.
Bam.
That is a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the first fun fact.
To give Tom Hanks an idea of how a 12-year-old would behave, director Penny Marshall filmed each grown-up scene with David Moscow, who played the young Josh, playing Hank's part, who then copied Moscow's behavior. That's a good idea. Very time-consuming, but it worked.
Apparently, he took that idea and did the same with Forrest Gump. He would have a kid do the scene, and then he would copy the kid. So he got a an Oscar nomination for this movie, and then won the Oscar for Forrest Gump using that same strategy. Isn't that wild? Wild and wacky.
Did he do the same thing in Greyhound?
I don't believe I've even heard of that movie.
That's the World War II one that's out now. He's like the ship captain.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think they got a child.
Did he do that in Saving Private Ryan? Did they have a little kid
that one he
run
did.
around playing World War II?
And then he copied whatever the kid would do. That's why in Saving Private Ryan, he's running around going, pew, 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 pew. The walking piano at New York City's FAO Schwartz toy store was 6.5 feet long and played only one octave. The piano was too small for the song Heart and Soul that Penny Marshall needed. She contacted Remo. She contacted the guy who made it, the creator of the walking piano, who made a 16-foot long, full 3-octave piano wide enough for the scene.
Well, that was nice of him. According to Robert Loggia, did I say it? Loggia?
Yeah,
Loggia?
I think so.
Well, on the day they filmed the famous keyboard scene, he and Tom Hanks noticed that doubles dressed like them were on hand just in case the two could not do the dance moves correctly. It became their goal to do the entire keyboard number without the aid of the doubles. They succeeded.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any cuts in that scene. They shoot that.
I think there are cuts. They do reaction shots, but
that's true.
You can tell, and that's the great thing about the scene. It's not perfect, and it shouldn't be perfect. It should be that impromptu.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this, and wow, hey, we're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And then they also invent DDR.
Is that where it started?
Probably.
Wow. Our final fun fact for the day. It is not known who played Josh's baby sister, Rachel, in the movie. And the unknown child actress is not credited in the end credits. To this day, the child actress's identity remains a mystery.
Isn't that something?
I find that hilarious.
The dog gets credit.
Everyone
That's
knows
the
who
dog
is.
from the Burbs and
Yes.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
It's some kid.
You can track down that dog, but who Rachel is, nobody knows. I don't know. Someone brought a kid on to the set.
Somebody had a kid. I hope somebody took that kid home.
Well, she might still be there waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Okay, Richard, have you seen Big before?
Oh, many times. The first time I saw it was actually in elementary school. This was one of those, hey, it's movie day. We're not going to teach you anything. Just go watch Tom Hanks.
Who wants to learn something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I do believe the last time I watched it before this was within the last year.
Okay. Okay. And so I guess you like it? And
I do. It's Splash, The Burbs, Big. Big is a very good film. It's a perfect film. It's a 4-star film. It's whatever maximum number of stars you want to give it. It is well written. It is well performed. It is very well directed. It's a very fun idea. It's got a lot of charm. There are a lot of things in here that I think, like, part of my brain is like, oh, is that actually, would it be better if we saw more of the parents? Would it be better if we got more of their side and all this stuff? And it's like, no, this movie is very well done. I mean, it touches on the fact that, yes, there is a grieving, heartbroken family that's missing their kid, but it focuses so much on the goofy, fun antics he's having that, it would lose its charm if you got too heavy. Yeah. So it's like you got to play it just right. They don't even show the dad outside of that one carnival scene. It's just the mom and all her reactions to the kid being gone. There's so much to like about this movie.
Well, this was the first time I watched the extended cut because I put in my big Blu-ray.
Oh, look at you!
Which, by the way, I was surprised when I opened it up. Came with some collector Zoltar.
Ooh,
cards.
That's neat. Wait a minute. Turn that over. Show me that first card.
It's your wish.
The other side. The other side. Is that like a little giant head Zoltar? Oh no, that's just his face. Okay, I thought it was like one of those goofy Funko Pop.
No,
proportioned
Funko Pop
things.
Get out of here.
That's neat.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And if you're listening to this, you're SOL. You got to go on to YouTube to see my cards. So I thought that was cool. I did not know those were in there. I opened it up. I'm like, wow,
that's a very cool piece of paper you got there.
Yeah. So I love this movie. I think the other two movies were good, but had their faults. And this movie is just on another level. Mm-hmm. Even the extended edition was 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I was worried that it was going to drag a little bit, but it still just flew by. Everything that they added in there was worth watching. Now, did you, in your version, did you see the part where they go back to Billy's house and they show Billy's family?
No.
I believe that was
extended.
Cut out. Now, I tried all day to get this for you. Unfortunately, like, nobody has it on YouTube. Nobody has this extra scene on YouTube. and I couldn't get the Blu-ray to play on my computer. I have the DVD of the film because the Blu-ray comes with the DVD, so I put that in and thought that's going to be my way to show this to Richard. But the
DVD is the theatrical cut.
it's just a theatrical cut. There's no extra scenes. So the only one I have is on YouTube is this guy who talks over it. So I'm just going to mute him because he talks over it. He's talking about some of the parts in Big that everyone ignores. That's a little weird and out there. And the reason why people ignore this scene, I don't think he caught on, is because it's an extra scene. I don't think many people have seen this part. So this scene it's Billy back at his home, and it does two things. It functions on two levels. One, it kind of establishes why Billy's not missed when he's constantly with Josh in New York City.
Yeah, that is one little detail that I figured, it's the 80s. You know?
Right. So that's the one thing that it does. Another thing. So I'm just going to play it down for you. It's just this guy talking over here, so I can't really play any audio. But basically, that's his mom right there.
Okay.
And she's chewing the entire family out because she does everything around the house. She does all the work around the house, and none of it's appreciated. Meanwhile, Billy is literally doing everything. He's serving the food. You know, that's his dad, and they're all kind of just sitting there, like taking it from the mom, like this is like a regular everyday occurrence. You know. So, and then see how he leaves. Now he leaves there.
Nobody sees him.
Nobody notices him, right? So that's them establishing that, like that's the reason why he's never missed.
That makes sense, because one thing you do pick up on is, and of course, very intentionally, of how much older Billy seems. Like he's a kid, but behaves like an adult, whereas Tom Hanks becomes the adult, still behaves like a kid. And I thought Billy was great. That actor, you know, one of those child actors that, sorry to disappoint everybody, I don't hate him. The only other thing I know him from is he was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but I don't know if he had any other, you know, major acting roles beyond that. But he was really good in this movie. Like everyone they cast did their job well, and it's tough getting good child actors.
So the other thing that scene does is also established how if Billy was in Josh's position, Billy wouldn't go back. Billy would be okay. You know?
Yeah.
And the thing that when I saw this scene, the thing that stuck out to me a lot is if you wanted, I'm not going to say it was like this every day when I was a kid, but there is a lot of days where I have sat at the table like this family. Not that one.
Put yourself in the spotlight when you talk.
Forget that. Like how this family is just sitting there, taking it, like just listening, and they just sit there. Like this girl right here. Yeah, that was supper time at Marcy's.
Nobody wants to make eye contact with Dad.
No. The only difference is I could never get away with leaving the house like that and be gone. It would have been hell to pay if I took off like that.
Bill's got a good. Yeah.
They says in the movie, because that's how Bill talks in real life. They says in the movie he tells them he's on a sports team after school, which but I mean, how long is that going to play out? I mean, he's gone.
He said he had to be back by 10 o'clock, which is,
the
only thing, I don't know if they had this in your area, but anytime at 10 o'clock, there would always be this little preface to the news. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right. And he's getting on the subway too to New York from, I'm not sure if he was in the Bronx or Brooklyn or
taking the bus across the border. I mean,
that's craziness. So it was 80s kids too, or it was the 80s too. Kids navigate around without their parents a lot. Yeah. But I'm not saying it's unrealistic. I'm just saying like that's what that was supposed to.
Well, the deleted scene amplifies that to show like he probably could
get
away with that, and you know, they might think he's over at his friend's house or something.
Yeah. And again, like, you know, it was also to say, like, look, if Billy was in this situation, because Josh had a pretty good he was having a good childhood, right? And I think
at least normal. You know, you don't get the sense it's not like a Duke fantasy land.
No, but like, I mean, he was going to have a good time throughout high school and all that. He was smart. He knew computers. He was popular enough. He was, you know, playing sports and stuff like that. So, I mean, he was going to be okay. Or if it was me, like I'm watching this movie and I'm like, man, there's absolutely no way I would go back. I would stay there. You got the girl, you got the job, you got the apartment in New York City. What the hell more do you need? I'd never gone back. I'd be like, yeah, oh well, I don't have to go home and listen to that anymore. I don't have to worry about all that stuff that I have to worry about in the future. It's already done. It's already good. You got it.
He goes home, and then you imagine like his family never lets him out of their sight again, and he just ends up getting a job at the grocery store.
Yeah, happy ending.
Yeah.
No, he gets with that blonde girl, right? The dream girl there. The blonde child.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the one that he's been pining for.
Well, he had a thing for older women.
Yeah, I guess so.
That was the Hanky Panky. Tom Hanks gets it on with a fish, Princess Leia, and a pedophile.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. Well, I think the pedophile thing is kind of blown a little bit out of proportion. Yes, she sleeps with a man who has the mind of a 13-year-old, but he was still a man. And the one, like, see, this is why I think this movie.
That's what those school teachers say when they get caught with the sophomore. It's like, well, physically, he's a man.
Well, I think that like the movie is just happening on a whole other level. Like, you know, like when you think of something like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead or something like that, which is a competent movie or whatever, but this movie is like really well thought out. Like, okay, she has sex with Tom Hanks probably a few times or whatever. Once she finds out his story, once she finds out what's really going on, like you'll notice like towards the end, they don't have a kiss. You know, instead of kissing him on the lips, she kisses him on the forehead. You know, like kind of like, okay, it's over kind of.
Well, yeah, she knows at that point she's buying into his story,
right?
Whether she fully believes it or is just trying to believe it, she knows she should stop things.
And another touch I like that they did with Elizabeth Perkins too is that at the beginning of the movie, she's dressed all in the power suits and her hair is all tied up. And as the movie progresses, she just keeps getting more and more loose in her look.
She softens,
yeah. Like her hair starts getting let down, and the clothes get a little more baggier, and that it's just it's a subtle touch, you know, that.
Yep, I picked up a couple little touches too. I want to mind. When Josh makes his wish on the Zoltar machine, there's after he says it, and there's like some like mystic thing going on. There's a scene of a bunch of kids running away off into the distance. And I thought that was supposed to be some metaphor of like his childhood is leaving.
Oh, okay.
Same thing with there's a storm that night and his bike gets knocked over. I thought that was like another little like goodbye childhood.
Yep.
He does the smart thing of trying to explain. As soon as it happens, he's like a little scared, but then he decides to go to his mom, talk to her. That didn't work.
Right.
When he talks to Billy for the first time after changing, they smartly put him on some stairs so they can have some common eye line.
Yep.
John Lovitz was there for a minute.
Yep. Apparently he had the flu while shooting those scenes.
Oh, really? So was he supposed to be in more? Was he in any of the extended scenes or anything?
No.
In his apartment, he had an inflatable stegosaurus by his trampoline. I had that same inflatable stegosaurus when I was a kid. Yep. When the director of photography for this film was Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yes.
And when they're jumping on the trampoline, they play the song that was used to create the Men in Black song. Like they sampled that song when they made the Men in Black song.
What's the Men in Black song?
That Here Come the Men in Black. That one.
That's that's sampled from a song from this movie?
When they're jumping on the trampoline, there's a song playing in the background that's like dun 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 dun.
Really?
It's got
the Will Smith song.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he suggested it to Will Smith because he likes that song.
Yeah, well, he worked on this movie, so
yeah, could be.
I don't know. Thundercat sheets.
Yes, I saw those. Snarf was front and center.
Snarf, yes, Snarf was right there, and there was an outrun machine next to the Zoltar machine at the end.
Yep, noticed that too.
Very important things.
Those were your observations?
Yes.
Awesome.
So I've seen this film a bunch of times. I don't really have to think too hard about the story. It's all there. I saw this when I was a kid in elementary school, and I couldn't tell you anything about the movie then other than Tom Hanks touched a boob. That's the one thing everybody remembered.
Oh, I mean, who could forget? Who could forget?
I will say the lights back on and everything.
I will say what I appreciate about this movie as like there's similarities to Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. We could have actually done these two movies together because again, like in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Christina Applegate is the one that's kind of a fish out of water. She ends up in a job where she's not really supposed to be. And in that movie, they kind of take a little bit of a lazy way of just having her boss be aloof. You know, she's just going to hire this person out of the blue without checking any sort of references or anything like that. Whereas this movie could have done that, could have done it very simply, but it goes out of its way to show like how this toy company, like it's just all some subtle things where like the toy company's kind of not really paying attention to what kids need or what they would want, right? They're just kind of like taking the kids for granted. They like, you know, they had the kids like running around in the place in the background, like, okay, come on, let's go into the test area. And then there were some kids in the test area and everybody was like talking to each other, you know, about what has been testing well and all that. And nobody's actually looking to see what the kids were playing in the test area, what they were doing. And you could, so the old man who runs the place, played by Robert Loggia, is, you know, he's like trying to get like back to that, you know. And so when he runs into Tom Hanks in the toy store and, you know, he sees him playing with all the stuff and all that. And then they have that, you know, they go through all of that and then they have the scene together on the piano. And then he makes him the vice president in charge of some toys, some division or whatever.
He feels him out. He kind of gets that hunch.
Yeah. And it was just like, it was just nice to see all of that played out. And it was just all really well thought out, you know, instead of like, oh, I'm just a crazy guy in charge and I'm going to make you, you know, because I don't really take, you know, care in what I do that much. And I'm just going to hire you on spec because I just have a good feeling about you, you know. So I just thought all that stuff was just really great.
There are lots of little touches in here. I mean, the film as a whole, the story works, you know, all the little touches amplify it so much. It's good times.
Yep.
The only thing that I'd say I don't like about the film, which your Blu-ray kind of corrected, is that if you remember the old cover and the poster, it's a big shot of Tom Hanks's face.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
It's just close up of Tom Hanks' face with a little big.
Yeah.
And like, I know it, you know, it's a very iconic image for me. I see that image. I know that's that movie, but what an odd choice for a poster. Is it just because he's so big in the frame? Or
I guess, and the font for big is
kind of small and it's lowercase.
I guess that's what they were going for.
Made $150 million.
So I'm sure the poster worked out fine for them.
Penny Marshall does not want to hear my thoughts.
No, she doesn't need to
rest.
Yes. Okay, that's it. Let's wrap it up because I got to get out of here. What did we learn?
I
don't know.
Tom Hanks makes a good movie. Usually,
He does. I don't think. What has there been? I watched.
Is there a Tom Hanks movie that you can't watch that you think?
I tried watching The Man with the One Red Shoe, and I could not get through all of that one. That one was boring. That's an early Tom Hanks, though. Sarah agrees that she never liked the poster as well, and she says it's dinner time. So, Yeah, who cares what we learned? That's it. Tom Hanks makes good movies. These are 3 at least worth your watch, especially Big if you haven't seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next month we're doing Tubi Trash, and we're going to be doing the movie Long Shot, and we're going to stream it live over on our Discord channel. December 23rd, you're going to want to be on our Discord channel at 4 p.m. because I'm going to play down Festivus episode of Seinfeld. December 23rd is Festivus. We're going to watch that episode. Whether Richard is there or not, Richard might be there, but if he sleeps in...
I plan on being there.
He plans on being there, but if he sleeps in, that's it. That's right. Yeah,
I had computer trouble.
Sarah says the Da Vinci Code movies are on. Yeah, they weren't. I don't even. Did we watch it? I remember reading the book, and it wasn't that great.
That's one of those movies that I just have zero interest in attempting to watch. It just looks like,
Never seen Joe versus the Volcano. Oh no, I did. Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah, no,
I've never seen that one either.
It's not good. I don't like that one either. That one's weird. That one, maybe I can't remember if I liked it or not. Actually,
so I guess we learned is Tom Hanks's hits far outweigh his misses.
Absolutely. Captain Phillips, that was a good one.
Captain
Okay,
Phillips,
that's it. I gotta go eat dinner. I gotta get off the computer because then after we eat, Sarah is taking over the superstar.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for eventually waking up, Richard. So we can.
It's my pleasure to always eventually wake up. And sorry to Sarah if I have caused you to be delayed.
We're supposed to be done at 5:30, and we are done at 5:30-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So the quicker I wrap this up, the less trouble I will be in. So
okay.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
And we're not going to see you until January.
That's right. We'll come back 2021. Because next week is Christmas, and we're doing a show on Christmas. Mm-mm. The week after that, New Year's. I don't know if you want to do a show on New Year's Day.
But sometimes I have responsibilities because New Year's is a big year. I have no idea.
The 1st and 2nd, maybe we'll do one. If not, we'll be back on the 8th. You need a break from us anyways.
Yeah.
Who needs too much?
Because we did Filmdango, Fandango, Filmdango.
Yeah.
No wonder nobody showed up.
Good enough. Good enough. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
That stuff. Festivus.
Oh, wait. I'm going to be back on the 23rd. So I'll still see you on the 23rd.
I will try to see you on the 23rd.
Right. Okay. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.